everyone. I'm Claudia.
And I'm Luciana.
And this is Where We Land, a podcast about immigrating and multicultural identity.
Today, we talk to a fellow Peruvian, filmmaker, Camila Vidal. Let's get into it.
Hi, I'm Camila Vidal. I'm Peruvian, and I'm based in LA. Right now, I'm actually in Lima. Yes, I'm here for work. I'm shooting a commercial in a couple of weeks, so I'm staying here till the 30th this month. But I'm based in LA. I moved to LA. It's gonna be 5 years in September. I'm a director and a writer. I'm also work as an editor for Netflix. Sometimes I just finished a contract with them. But editing for me is like kind of like just a second chance to directing. So I feel like they're really related.
Right.
But yeah, I am dedicated to this career since I'm, 16 years old, something like that.
Let's back up. So Camila, where in the world does your journey start? Is it Lima, Peru?
Yes.
Okay.
It started here. It started in Lima, Peru. And then I moved to Argentina when I was 19 years old. I did my first film school in Buenos Aires.
Okay.
I lived there for 5 years till 2015. And then I came back to Lima, Peru. I went to Spain for a year. And then I came back. And then during the pandemic, I decided to apply to an MFA in film directing in LA.
Okay.
That was always in my list. But I didn't know when was the right time to do it. I was really immersed into, the Peruvian commercial industry. But at the same time, I was like, my dream has been always going to LA. I don't know how. I don't have the money to do it, but I'm going to just try it. And I applied to an MFA in CalArts, in California Institute of the Arts, during the pandemic. And they accepted me. And then I was like, how I'm going to pay for this? And I got a scholarship from the Hollywood Foreign Association, plus an American loan. And I just went there with a suitcase and a lot of dreams, literally. And I left so much behind, but I'm glad I took that decision.
Wow. Okay. So a lot of countries, a lot of travel, a lot of moving around. But from 16, you mentioned this clear focus of a movie career, of a filmmaking career specifically. So I'm curious, when was in Lima, what was it that got you interested in movies?
The first time I was really interested in movies was when I started to, first of all, my mom loved cinema. My grandma also used to love cinema. And the first movie I saw, I think it was Citizen Kane and Casablanca.
Oh my gosh, first movie.
Yeah. No, first movie after all the Disney movies.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Like
So
your
like
first
at the-
real movie.
At the ripe
After
age
Lion
of
King.
7, you watched Citizen Kane.
Yeah, not at 7, but when I was, like a teenager, I saw it and I was like, there's something here that I like. And when I was 15 years old, I was hanging out with one friend and we decided to shoot a short film for a school competition. And we were third place. And that was, I think, the time that I was like, there's something here that I like of just having a device to record memories and these contradictions and this everyday chaos that I started to find as poetry. And so I started to just recording stuff and just posting my things in, back then it was MySpace or
probably,
and then Facebook.
Wow. Okay. You were uploading. Nice.
I was uploading and, this is the reason why when I moved to Argentina, I went to film school and then, production company here in Lima when I was really young, saw my work in just the space, in the cloud. And they were like, hey, we would like to represent you. Because also back then, I'm now 34, but that was when I was 19, 20 years old. And they were interested in representing a women director because in South America, that was kind of the beginning of having women in film.
Okay.
Wow.
Mostly, yeah, in commercials. I was one of like the first directors in Lima, Peru, which
Wow.
is like really, yeah. And I was really young, the industry was run by men. Well, it's still kind of like that sometimes, but, when I did the MFA in LA, it was the first time that we were more women than men in the class. So yeah, but I feel like kind of like proud that I was really brave when I was younger, and I decided just to study this no matter what. Like my mom, of course, was afraid, was like, how are you going to make money? It's like classic. And especially back then, I feel like nowadays, people are like trusting more, art and communications and entertainment in general. Still is hard. But yeah, I've been always like a really brave woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It
can
sounds
tell.
like it for sure, because there's a lot of risk. And I understand the move to Argentina because obviously, aside from the US, in the Americas, Mexico and Argentina tended to be, back in the day, the hubs with like more of an industry. Is that why
Yes.
you chose Argentina? Like, oh, they're just doing more over there. There's more of an opportunity there.
Yes. So I remember I graduated from high school and I told my mom, hey, I want to study filmmaking. And she was the first one looking at me and saying, what? No, that's not possible. And I was like, but you told me about films. Like, you love Hollywood, you love this. And now you are telling me that I'm crazy. To put you in some context, I was the first one in my class in high school. Like, I was really good in math, in economy, in chemistry. But also at the same time, my favorite assignment was always history, because I was obsessed with stories. And then I remember my stepdad was the one that told my mom, you don't have to worry about, she's going to go to Argentina, but first she's going to do general studies here in Peru. But when I finished the general studies, I moved to Buenos Aires. I decided Buenos Aires because, as you mentioned, in South America, back then, the good film schools were in Buenos Aires and in, how does it call, in Brazil. I don't remember in what places specifically, but those were like the best places to study film. And I was obsessed also with Argentinian culture. Like, since I was a child, I was like seeing Chiquititas, Cebollitas, all the
Okay.
All the
remember?
TV shows for kids.
Oh my God,
yes.
Rebelde Way.
Rebelde Way. I
gosh, of
did watch
course.
Rebelde Way. I
Okay.
did watch Rebelde.
I was
And the movie.
obsessed.
And the movie.
Yes, I was obsessed with all the Argentinian culture. So I was like, okay, like, I think Argentina is my place. And also, an interesting fact is that it was really cheap because inflation was there. And
Right. Argentina was going through a tough time.
yes, so it was really, it was affordable. It was it wasn't really expensive to study there. So yeah, I moved there and it was the best. I realized I also like the theater. I started to go a lot to the theater, and I think there was the first time when I started to learn about screenwriting, because at first I think I was more into only like the cinematography part of filmmaking and the image and like making images, but I didn't understand well, like, why I was doing those images, like, the statement maybe or behind them. And then in film school, I started to learn about screenwriting. And then I graduated in Argentina and...
Wait, before you graduate though.
Yes.
What was Argentina like? Like, it was your first, like, time living by yourself abroad, you taking care of your own business, deciding your own schedule, away from family. What was it like? What did you get up to? Was it fun? Was it scary? What was it like?
At first, I thought I was mature enough when I moved. I thought I was, really strong as a woman in every single thing. And then I remember the day when my mom helped me to move, and the day that she said goodbye to me, I closed the door and I started to cry. Because one part of me was like, yes, this is what I have decided. But at the same time, what I am doing.
Right. Second guessing. What did I just do?
Also, the classes in Argentina starts in February. The classes start in February. And so back then I was, like I couldn't miss one summer in Lima.
Right.
So that's also really interesting about Lima, that this summer, right now that I'm here, I almost forgot how important is this season.
Yeah.
And
it is the
everything
season.
Everything happens in the summer.
Yeah, it was scary. It was scary, but I closed the door. My mom left. And I was like, okay, so now what I should do. I remember I started to cook, and I will never forget this. I was doing a soup, and for some reason I was really distracted, because also I have like deficit attention disorder. So when I'm under stress, I can like lose keys and like be a mess. And I remember I was doing a soup, and for some reason I put like everything that I boiled, all the vegetables in the blender. And the vegetables were really, really hot. And of course, if you put like the hot vegetables in the blender, right away, it will explode, right? And it was green all over the place and in the ceilings. And I called my mom like, hey, I just did this, what I should do. And she was like, no worries, it's okay. Like you can get another blender.
Sure. Okay. So a bit of a chaotic start in Argentina. It's probably fair to say. Were there any things that were familiar? Were there things that you were like, this is easy to make friends? What was that community building situation like?
So I built a community of like people from not only Argentina, but like my best friend was from Colombia, from Cartagena. Actually, I'm still in communication with her. She's great. She's an art director nowadays. My friends from Venezuela, there was a lot of Venezuelan people back then that were going to Argentina to study because they had a special, I don't remember the name, but they had like a special pass, kind of like a passport to study there. Because Venezuela was starting to have also the crisis. And I realized, there's a lot of people from Lima living in Buenos Aires. So I had also that community, like Peruvians in Buenos Aires. And I think that part is really important. I also have that in LA. I try to find Peruvians in every place I go, because I think at least once a month I need to just sit down with them, eat Peruvian food, and talk about random Peruvian stuff.
Yes.
I feel that deeply.
Expats are necessary,
deeply.
Okay, so you're in Argentina. You've made friends. You said you graduate, and then you said you went to Peru to work. What was that like? What was that transition like?
I think I moved back to Lima because of the crisis. I realized I started to look for work as a director. And first of all, they were mostly representing local directors back then. I realized maybe I'm not going to be able to make it here right away from film school, and maybe I have to come back afterwards. And in Lima, as I mentioned, there was a production company that was asking me to represent me as a director in the commercial space.
While you were in school, while you were in Argentina, they asked you?
It was when I was graduating, right away. Yes. And also to work, there was this, I don't know if you remember, maybe you don't, but Claro opens, like same as Cable Mágico, they opened like Claro TV, and they were doing like El Canal del Jockey, like Jockey TV, something like that, literally.
Wow.
And
all the things that I missed.
And Jockey had a lot of like, I don't know, like cooking TV show or entertainment TV show. And that was also the first place I practiced as a director. I directed some like TV shows for Claro TV. I was really young. My mentor was Aldo Salvini, who is a really good Peruvian TV director. And at the same time, I was starting to direct commercials. I remember one of my first commercial was for Latina. It was for El Último Pasajero. It's it was a TV show, like a live TV show. But at the same time, that was only kind of like for a living. But in a way, I'm really grateful for that opportunity, because there's the thing. There's some people when they graduate from film school, maybe they have the opportunity to invest right away in a movie. But in my case, my family like told me when I graduate, like, okay, now this is it. Now you in the world. And I didn't have the money to start, doing my own films. But I realized, but if I make a community in the filmmaking world here in the Peruvian industry, and I do friends, and I'm friend with the rental houses and with, the locations and everything, I'm going to be able to have, to shoot my own things with friends, because they're going to help me, because they believe in me. And that's what I did. And I started to shoot my short films, not like, feature films that we know that that's another budget. But I started to do my own short films while I was working in advertisement. And that started to open me new doors, because when you start to sell yourself as a director, you realize that the work that matters in order to producers to, want to work with you is the work that speaks for yourself. It's not the work that you do for other brand. So, and that's kind of like, you have to show the world that you are doing your own work. And it's funny because it's like, okay, so I'm doing money to just invest that money in myself, and keep going and keep going and keep going. Of course, till like you get to Hollywood, and then like your life kind of like fix it. But it's, that was what I was like in Lima, what I was doing. Right. And then COVID happens. I thought before COVID that I was Tarantino already, and I had everything. Like I was like, okay, I know what I really want to convey with my images. What are the themes I want to do? What is my process? And then when I applied to this MFA and I moved to LA, I realized I didn't know anything, and maybe I was wrong with a lot of things that I was doing. And I started from scratch. I decided to start from literally scratch and find that answer, find what I'm doing this. Why am I doing the images I'm doing? I've been always doing images with a really interesting, let's say, tone. I'm kind of dark in my images. I've been always really interested in color and how color can translate feelings and sensations. But I didn't know why I was using the colors that we're using, or why I was really interested in spaces that the walls can speak for themselves. And going to an MFA gave me that space to start from scratch and leave everything and all my privilege in Peru, because literally I was, as I mentioned, I was doing great as a commercial director. The production companies wanted me, like they were like fighting between each other to see like,
you were making money,
You were making money.
I was making money for companies, but I wasn't really happy. And I knew, and I know, like you have to keep working in commercials your entire life, because now I'm here to shoot a commercial. But I had to do the stop in my life to open this other door, which is the narrative world.
I'm really curious. You mentioned something. You said that you wanted to change what you were doing and how you were doing things. And you decided that somewhere along the way, you decided that the way that you were doing things, you didn't like that anymore. That's not what you wanted to do. And you found this new way of doing things, down to the type of images that you were doing and why you were doing them. And I'm curious what that was, what that change was. What was it that happened that made you reevaluate the way you were doing things?
I think the answer is that I thought cinema was about finding those answers in the stories you were doing, in the stories I was like telling in my short films. And then I realized during my first semester in CalArts that in my case, it was more about creating a space to feel and think. I realized I was more interested in films that stay with you even when they are uncomfortable. And before I was looking more to the happy ending and to feel empathy for all the characters. And I don't believe cinema has to be liked to be meaningful. And I realized that during CalArts, because I was analyzing other films. I had the time. I did a stop in like just working, for like being alive, because I got this scholarship and this loan. And that was like a really beautiful time in your 30s to sit down in a library and rethink everything. And also, I think when I moved to LA and started the MFA, one of the things that I was repeating is like, also, I would like, as a Peruvian film director, I would like to, kind of like, I want to express my Peruvian identity into my films.
For sure.
And then I realized, but I don't know if I want to add my Peruvian doses into what I do just from nothing. Like, I think like I have to find a meaning of this, right? Because I don't like when, for example, Netflix, just in order to have like that diversity thing into a movie, you can tell that they are pushing really hard, when they're pushing the narrative. I don't like that. I think like it has to be natural. It has to come from you.
Authentic.
It has to be really authentic. And I also understood that my Peruvian roots are not something I add to my work. They are already there. I think they live. It's implicit. They live in the color I do in my cinematography. And, I started to answer those questions. Why I'm using these colors is because I think those colors reminds me of like, again, it's the memory and maybe the silence that like lived in my family for a long time with a lot of things. And the way characters exist in space, the way I've been always really inspired by the light in Lima, the really moody gray light during the winter, the texture and this emotional restraint I grew up with. And Peru, because if like, Peru is like a place that you observe every single detail because everything is really interesting and really peculiar. And I think Peru taught me to observe as a filmmaker, to sit with contradiction, and I think to find beauty in what's really imperfect or unresolved sometimes. So I think I had the space to answer all of this, and I realized that's actually my process and how I think I communicate my identity into my work.
I want to ask, in moving to LA, obviously you are like experiencing this moment of like enlightenment and like just exposure to so many new things. And I feel like kind of anything could happen. Did you feel that in LA? Like, I can kind of do anything here? Were you like inspired by all of that energy in that industry at all?
I think that's a really complex and big answer, because LA is really hard.
Yeah.
It's a place of many dreams. When you just move there, you move there thinking exactly that. Okay, now I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it in LA. And then you realize how hard it is. Doing an MFA in one of the top film schools in the US was
CalArts is amazing.
Was a good decision because you do a great networking and you have some mentors that can put you in some places when you are doing internships. For example, I did an internship in Project X Entertainment, which is the production company behind the Scream franchise. But then when I graduated and people were like, oh, yes, you are graduating from one of the best film schools. And yes, blah, blah, blah. I graduated. And then I was like, and now what? First, they were like different things to solve, right? First, the visa thing. Because
talk a lot about that here. We talk a lot about that.
I moved with a student visa. So then when you graduate from a MFA, it's the same as an MBA, you get an OPT, which is this 1 year permit.
Yep.
But then when that year ends, you have to see, okay, so should I get married with an American or I go back home or I apply, in my case, to an artist visa, which is great because you can apply to an O1 by showing that you have press, that you've been a successful artist in your own country. So that was the thing that I realized, oh, thanks God, I decided to do this when I was 30 and not when I was 24, because I don't think they will give you the O1 without a good amount of press or like recognitions, or like I don't know, I had some short films with like festivals, laurels and stuff. So I was able to prove them that I was a good
You have
artist.
talent.
I'm a big hit, man.
You have talent.
Give me my
Sponsor
visa.
me. Okay.
Yes, but it was hard because so I graduated. I knew I had to apply to this O1 visa. That was stressful because it's really expensive as well.
Yeah.
And at the same time, also my loan was like, okay, bye. Like my loan was to cover my life during school.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to survive. That was the first time that in a short film shooting, I met a producer that she asked me, hey, do you edit? And I told her, I know every single tool in filmmaking. I know it. So I can work in whatever you need. And she contacted me to work as an editor, as a freelance editor for Netflix Multicultural, because they needed a bilingual person who can work for all the multicultural series in Netflix. And I started to work not full time, but really good contracts with them, editing a lot of trailers for social media.
Got it.
And with that, I started to, they were really, really happy with my work. I've been in shows like Wednesday, Umbrella Academy, Emily in Paris, in movies like Happy Gilmore 2. I just edited a lot of pieces for The Rip. It's this new Ben Affleck and Matt Damon's movie. So the good thing, I have a great relationship with them, and I get contracts mostly every month with them, which is really good. And that gives me
get paid.
And with that, that's when I was like, okay, so I can survive in LA. But there were times where I didn't have the job and I started to direct some music videos and this and that, but I didn't have a manager there. But I started to shoot a lot of music videos. And that was also like a source of like money, like starting to work with amazing artists in the music space. And I love it because directing a music video, in a way, they give you more space creatively to do what you want to do. Like, you can propose like your own vision, not only aesthetically, but narratively. And it's a really good space to use that footage for, building your reel in order for producers to see your work. At the same time, I was like trying to connect with executive producers. And during CalArts, I worked in my thesis film, is Peñascal. It's the last short film I shot. I shot it on film because I love to shoot on film. I shot it in 16 millimeters. And with that short film, during the thesis night, there were some producers that saw it. One producer called me to tell me that he had a script for a feature film, and if maybe I was interested in like directing the film. I started to. I'm right now attached to 3 feature films as a director that are in development. And I am at the same time I'm writing my own film, which is my baby. And I just directed a vertical drama. I don't know if you're familiar with that format.
Yes.
We've heard. Someone told us
about them.
Yeah.
They're all the rage. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
I still haven't
Sosha,
seen one, but
I think you know her. Like, you know Sosha, right?
Yes, she was.
Sosha produced the one you directed?
Yes.
Yes.
But that's the thing. In LA, you can connect with people that you are not going to connect anywhere. And everybody in LA, even like in the hard times, it doesn't matter. Like everyone is in the same boat. Yeah. That's what I realized. One day you can be working in Paramount. The next day, maybe you don't have any contract.
That's
and
right.
People is going to support you. And then the next week, you're going to find something. So I really like LA because of that. It's a community that like all the people that is in the filmmaking world is like helping each other.
You mentioned you're currently writing your feature film debut?
Yes.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I don't know how far along you are in the process, but is there anything you would like to tease about it? Or I'm just personally curious, honestly, about what subject matter you're tackling or you're thinking about tackling in that feature film.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So the themes that I've been always really interested about and I keep returning to are memory and absence, family and emotional distance, return to places, to people, to yourself in a more existential part. So I saw this in this short film that I was telling you about called Peñascal. Peñascal is a beach in the south of Lima, where surfers surf this big wave. And my dad is a big wave surfer. And in a way, my last short films have been inspired in my relationship with him, but I never lived with him because my parents got divorced when I was 7 years old. And in a way, I think like cinema, for me became a way to get connected to him. And from there, I started to write my feature film during my time in CalArts. And even if I've been navigating into different themes and genres, and I can direct for others, but the ones that I write, I think are really attached to these themes that I just mentioned. I'm right now writing about two different characters that they come from completely different families, also different kind of like political ideas. But they have, they both leave the country to study but different things, and they're coming back during a summer in Lima for different reasons, but to solve things with their families, and they meet. And in this relationship, the difference between them and their parents is that nowadays they can have a conversation no matter if they have different thoughts politically. Because I think like in the past, at least I come from a family that maybe has like some thoughts that maybe in a way I wanted to be far away from that. But then I return and I can talk to them and I can listen to them. So I think like nowadays I'm being the director that I am and the writer that I am, I can listen, and maybe before I couldn't. And also what I'm like, this like movie that I'm writing about give me this opportunity of like remembering, and I have to write when I write when I am here, but then the main part, like the parts where I'm like, okay, when I'm here, I do a lot of notes, but I need to go to the screenwriting space and like the final draft, which is the place where I write. I need to do that when I'm not here.
I understand. Whenever I write, I always write about wherever I'm not. Like if I'm in Peru, I'm writing about the United States. If I'm in the United States, I'm writing about Peru.
Yeah.
I can't do it while I'm there. It's too close.
It's too close. It's overwhelming. I don't know. I can't. I'm really good doing my like a lot of notes and I'm observing everything.
Yeah.
But I can do the actual work. Like I need to be far away from here.
Yeah, I need emotional distance. I need emotional distance. Because I think you can't look at something with the crudeness that you need to look at it unless you're far away. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
That makes sense, actually. As a non-writer here, that makes sense, but
especially because I think it depends maybe on the type of writing you're doing, but the type of writing that sounds like you're doing, which sounds very it sounds like it has a critical eye. And I feel that critical eye requires like a harshness in your truth. and the truth of what you're delucidating that really benefits from distance. Like if you're close, you can't be that harsh, you know, because you're seeing it and you're like, oh, I can't be this cruel. I can't be this honest.
How has living in LA changed you?
In a lot of ways, I think, but I'm still the same Peruvian, but
for sure. We are Peruvian as well, but our change, you know, we clock it.
You know, sometimes when I'm talking with other Latino friends in LA, I have a lot of Latino friends that they are second generation or they moved since high school. And I find that really different as me because I moved in my 30s. I knew who I was in my 30s. And I think my voice and my tone of voice, my accent, my attitude towards life was built in South America.
Yeah.
And not even Latino, because that's also a thing that I'm not sure about. Like, I think if you are really in the South, South Americans, sometimes our culture is really different as being from Central America and Mexico.
For sure.
When I was in CalArts and it was, I remember there was a Latino group of people and I was part of them. And sometimes I was feeling there's some stuff that maybe I don't feel related here. I'm different. I'm more Peruvian than American. And I don't think I'm in between cultures. I feel built, now I feel built from both. Because, so I think LA have changed me in the way I think I see other cultures and other languages. Right now, I think I'm more, I listen more, I accept everyone, not from, let's put this into an idea. I think nowadays I'm not really interested in asking to what high school you went or who were your friends when you were young. I'm more interested in asking you what do you do? What are your hobbies? What do you do for fun? What project are you right now working that I don't know, interested you? I feel more in the present in a way. And that is something that I learned in LA. In Peru, I was kind of silent in a lot of ways sometimes. Or maybe I was afraid of communicating all my thoughts and my opinions because I was afraid of maybe not being accepted for a community or maybe afraid of my family. And LA told me not to be afraid of expressing my voice. LA has shaped me in the time I eat.
Okay, so you're having lunch at 12. Is that what I'm hearing?
Exactly.
Yes. High five. Virtual high five.
I refuse.
And dinner at 6.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I've lost
Virtual high five because yes. And I think so and not to get too in the weeds. Is it is your ideal, what does it look like for you? Is it living between both? You live in between LA and Peru? Is that an ideal for you?
Right now I'm traveling a lot to Peru for work, but it's I don't know, no more than 2 weeks. And I come back to LA. My boyfriend lives in LA. My entire family lives here and I'm really close to my family and my friends and I love to come, but I always feel during the last days that I have to go back to LA. So it's always this feeling of missing. I miss Peru when I'm there. I miss LA when I'm here. And in a way that make me understand, realize that, both are my home right now.
Yeah.
Because also right now I'm staying in my mom's house. It's the house where I grew up and my room is still there. And, I'm going out here one day with friends and my mom is still asking me, at what time are you coming back?
Oh, wow. So you go back home for real.
That's adorable.
I go back home for real. I mean, I can maybe, rent an Airbnb, but why? I prefer to stay.
Of course. And you get those home-cooked meals. Why get
Well, that's the thing that I miss a lot, Peruvian food. It's just, that's the thing that the US is not gonna replace.
Never. Never.
Never.
Where's
never.
your boyfriend from?
From Scotland.
Well, there's another culture right at you. Okay. Yeah.
That was a twist. That was not what
That
I
was a twist.
expecting.
So no speaking Spanish with the boyfriend. No, none of that.
Wow. So
No.
English is the language you speak at home in LA.
Yes, because I also, I live with 2 roommates. He lives alone, but he lives like 3 blocks from my house.
Nice.
My roommates are American. My best friend in LA is Peruvian, is Carla. Carla Cialupo. She's our current Miss Peru universe.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
Well,
yes.
good for her.
So I have my Peruvian friends where I have like the space to speak in Spanish, but at night I'm speaking English all the time.
I'm curious, what's that like? Tell me. Does it ever get tiring? I'm always curious about this because I see people in like multicultural relationships and they're like, they get married and they have kids. And I'm like, that's so interesting to me.
I love English for work because English is really straightforward. It's really precise and it's really on point. But I really feel that my deepest feelings are in Spanish. Like sometimes I don't know how to express them in English. I feel so that I'm like really, I don't know, that I'm not even like sounding kind of like emotional in English. And it's funny because now I'm used to listen to my voice in English. But for example, I have a twin sister and like, I don't remember like during these days.
So many questions right now.
Oh yeah, I have a twin sister and she like listened to me like talking in English and she was like laughing like, why are you like speaking so exaggerating? And I was like, I'm not, like I'm also have my accent. Like I'm not trying to speak like really American. I'm not trying to do that.
Right.
But yeah, it's really interesting to like, like see her like saying that. Like she's like, why are you talking like that? And I'm like, I'm just talking English because that's what I talk every day.
Yeah,
But,
she's like reacting to your Americanness. She's like, oh my God, you're like la gringa now, right?
Yes,
Is that
yeah.
like, yeah.
Yeah, but actually I'm
That's
not.
so
But
funny.
but yes.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, we have one final segment that we always end all our
The
interviews
questions you send
with.
me?
Yes.
Okay.
So the first one, I think you kind of already answered it a little bit when you talked about if you felt Peruvian or American or how did you feel. Is there anything you want to add to that?
If I have to summarize everything, I identify as Peruvian first and always. I think I mentioned this before, but I live in the in between, not fully there, not fully here, not fully there. And that tension, because maybe it's a tension, shapes how I see the world and how I make the films I do. Yeah. And also, I think my emotional language comes from that, my family, my memories, my sense of humor, that is really important. And I think my relationship with the relationship to time and to silence is really important.
Okay. So you're living in that in between. I'm so curious to talk to you in like another 5 years and be like, are you still living in that tension? Because for some people they do. And then other people, they move away from that tension. It gets released and they find a different, like a more like
but
chill
I can't. I'm an artist.
place.
I need to live in a tension. If I don't live,
you're like,
Yes.
I'll make the tension.
You're
if
like,
it goes away,
I don't
I'm
want
creating
calm.
it.
I don't want calm. I need
yes,
to create.
I need that tension. But that tension is beautiful. If I don't miss, I can't get inspired. Like I need that loneliness. I need that nostalgic feelings. I need
Can't just be
that
happy,
tension.
you know? That's boring.
Yeah, but that makes me
I
happy.
mean, she
I
could,
think.
but she wouldn't be making art. You know what I'm saying? It's the trade-off.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay, final question.
Final question is the segment that luckily Claudia prepped you. Speak my language. So where you teach us a word or phrase in Spanish that doesn't have an English translation, or you just simply prefer how it sounds in Spanish. So what do you want to share with us?
Okay, I chose one that I think there's one in English, but I really love the Spanish one because I love this event, and it's Sobremesa.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
yes.
I think I've said that one before.
You love sobremesa,
I love
Luciana. Yes, you
sobremesa.
love
I
that
love
very
the word sobremesa.
yes.
Because,
Please tell
well,
us.
it's we know, right? It's the moment after a meal, when people stay at the table just talking and, existing together.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what I really love is that there's no rush. The time stretches in a way, and it says so much about how we Peruvians and Latinos relate to time and to each other. And sometimes I miss that deeply. There's sobremesas in other places and even in the US, but Peruvian sobremesa is special. And I like the word.
I love what you said about how it's really speaks to how Peruvians relate to time, because there is a relationship to time in Peru where it's just like, a little bit here, a little bit there, give or take. There's an undefinedness to it. There's we had lunch at 2. It was served at 2, but you know what? It's 4, and we're still here, and we're all still sitting at the table, and lunch is still going. We all stopped eating an hour and a half ago, but lunch is still happening somehow.
Yeah. There's no rush. Sometimes I feel, in LA, I think LA and New York are kind of the same. We are always in this rush, like hustling, like we have to make the work. And some days I feel frustrated when I don't have any work to do. That never happens. I always have work to do. But when I'm not doing something, I feel bad and I feel anxious. And when I am here and I know I have all of these responsibilities and work, but I don't feel that guilty when I'm in a sobremesa with my friends. For some reason, time changes here for me, and it stretches. It lasts forever.
That's
true. I love that.
I love
that so much. And I really, a goal of mine would be to like try to find that Peruvian sense of time while I'm in the United States somehow try. Maybe no one else feels it, but let me feel it somehow. Let me channel it into my life. Oh, if only. I want to thank you so much, Camila, for coming on the podcast, because I got to tell you, girl, I don't know how you find the time. You're hustling. You're doing all the things. You're so incredibly impressive. Like, I need this to be on the podcast. Like, I don't know how to stress this enough. Like, it is not common in Peru to go abroad for undergrad, right? You went to Argentina to film school, of all things, which is also not a common career in Peru. The industry isn't huge over there. You do that. You go back to Peru. You're successful doing commercial work as a director, which also isn't easy to do in Peru. And then you get into Cal Arts, right? Which, I'm sorry, not a lot of people are getting into Cal Arts, you guys, you know? Mm-hmm. So you managed to do that. You scrounge up the money, you hustle, you graduate, you manage to get your O visa, and you manage to be employed and stay employed in LA, and you're managing to pay your bills through film directing and editing and everything movie related. And that, for a Peruvian, that is like a huge accomplishment.
It's a lot to overcome. And when you say like, I have these contracts with Netflix to like these films, that sounds like a dream for a lot of people that would love to break into the industry while you're writing your film. So I hope you can take a moment to like, I don't know, your 25-year-old self might be like, what? Like, you're kind of like living a dream, obviously you want to make your own film. There's always something else, but I hope that you can like find time to like take back. And it's like, I am doing amazing things and be proud of that and feel proud of that as you should.
Yeah, because I know you probably feel like, but I haven't made my feature film yet. Right. I haven't made it. I am nothing.
Yeah, that's my trauma every day.
Yeah. And until you birth that, you're probably still going to have, and that's great because that's hunger, man. That's going to keep you going. You're going to be making a ton of things. But I think you're already so incredibly impressive.
Yes.
Like so
indeed.
freaking incredibly impressive. And I'm like, you should be cheered. You know what I mean? Like people should be like applauding you. You should be happy with what you're doing. I don't know how you feel like, because I don't know where you feel you're at or how successful you feel. But I hope you feel incredibly successful. I don't know. How do you feel about it?
I'm very low profile. I was really nervous to be in front of a camera in a podcast. I usually don't do this. And some of my friends always tell me, you have to tell your story, girl. Why you never do it? If you go to my Instagram account, it's everything about my work, my images, my films, and all of my followers are completely organic. And I curate my feed really well with my work, but I never show my face talking. When I'm on set, I'm really extrovert, and because I have to direct actors and I have to direct my crew. But in front of a camera or doing interviews, I'm really shy. And because also I know that it's not easy to make all of these decisions. And sometimes a lot of people come to me and ask me like, hey, like you're doing great. Like I'm so happy for you. And in my head, I'm like, last week, maybe I was like, I didn't know how I was like paying my rent. Last week, maybe I was struggling because of maybe financial situation, or maybe like some stress, or maybe because there's a lot of, if you are in LA, there's a lot of people that are so talented, and you are, like kind of like in there, out there, like just around the talent is just insane, and you are there and you feel this stress every day. Because we are trying everybody's trying to be the best, but also not everybody is trying to show who they really are, which is what I'm trying to do. As I said, like I feel that my goal since I left was to inspire other women here to do the same, because anyone is telling you that it's hard. Everyone is telling you like, oh yes, come to film school, come to CalArts, it's amazing. Then you have to be careful. If you are getting a loan, you have to pay it afterwards.
Yeah.
You know how hard
you have to
it
get
is.
A visa. You have to get a visa.
You have to have a way to stay. Nobody's telling you about that part.
Yeah.
And that dream, the part when you are just, like studying and having a wonderful time in film school is going to end at some point. And then you have to figure it out. So I think like I want to tell the truth to everybody, and telling all the women like here, especially in Peru, that are asking me like, how can they do in order to apply to a film school in the US? That is the most wonderful experience. But you have to go knowing the consequences, and like the risk that you are taking, but also like, like you have to work hard. But I can say like at the end, if you love movies, that there's no place like LA is the best place to be. And if I can add something, I feel like when you ask me about, maybe you feel like frustrated because you have you don't have like your feature film yet. And yes, like every day I'm like, oh, I need to shoot it right now. But I'm glad maybe in the past I wasn't able to shoot this film, because the person I am right now, because of all of this journey, all the side jobs that I made in between when I was in LA, all the experiences and like travelings around the world, I think they shaped my vision in a way that nowadays I feel really, really like secure about. Like I feel like stronger, and I feel like I'm ready to do it.
Well, let me tell you, I'm buying a ticket. I am, as the kids say, I am seated. I am early. I am in that movie theater. I'm the only one. I've saved the entire row for all my friends. Bueno, gracias, Camila.
Sí,
really,
gracias.
thank you
Gracias.
so much.
Thank you for inviting me.
Okay, so how did this land for you?
Oh my gosh, I loved this conversation. I loved meeting Camila, first of all, because she's a true blue, successful Hollywood director, and she's from Peru. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I've never heard, well, no, I've heard of Peruvian film directors. Of course, we keep tabs on all our people, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But she's a woman.
Yes, I
She's
think that's the biggest thing.
In
Like,
her early 30s.
yeah, young,
and
successful
she's doing it.
female director from Peru who's crushing it. And like, I love hearing about the projects she has teed up. And just like, I feel like also what I got from her was like, she's very unaware of everything that she's accomplished. Like, kind of like, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing this. I'm like, girl, you're crushing it. You're
I
crushing
know.
it.
I would be so high up on my horse. I
Right?
would be like, so I work for all these companies and I do all these things and I'm attached to direct 3 movies. I don't know if you've heard.
I know.
I know. My name is
So
Camila Vidal
humble.
and I'm like a famous director. I've never heard of me. Okay. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Because yeah, it's so impressive, but she does sound like she's very much like a hustler. Like
Very
she's
humble,
like,
hustling.
yeah, she keeps her head down and she does the work. And that's what she's interested in, which is great. But I personally, as a Peruvian, I am so interested in just like giving her flowers, you know, and like making a big show and a big to-do about what she's done because she's already accomplished so much.
She is, and I get it. I get it must be hard to hear, like, you're doing so amazing. When you have so many things that you want to do. I understand that, and I feel like that's totally the vibe that she was giving. But exactly, you know, credit where credit's due and encouragement. And also just, I love that she wants to tell her story to other females in Peru that, you know, are interested in getting that career. Because it is hard. It is, for sure. I don't think she realizes that is not just a thing that everybody does, by the way. You know,
no,
this is
that's
like
special. Yeah. It takes perspective. It takes intelligence. It takes talent. And I also related to her so much when she talked about like, whatever country I've moved to, I've always found expat Peruvians and made friends with them because every once in a while I just need my Peruvians around, even though you can have like friends from Latin America, from other Latin American countries, and you can speak Spanish with them. She's like, no, every once in a while I just need my Peruvians and I need them to talk to me about Peruvian things.
Yeah,
and
even
like,
if I don't care.
Yes. I'm like, I didn't notice because I always felt like, oh yeah, I have people I speak Spanish with, people no matter where they're from. And I always felt like that was maybe my comfort thing. But when she said it, I was like,
that's
no,
what that
it's
is.
different when they're Peruvian. It's different. And I do seek out my Peruvian peeps like regularly.
For sure. And it's like, why am I doing that? Oh, are we like all just doing the same thing? Like when she said sobremesa as her word, which I was just like, I love this. I love that because you are saying so much more than just like, this is a fun, cool word. It's like, you love it so much because you are nostalgic for it, because it is this I love how she's phrased it with like this relationship to time that we have in Peru. That is neither here or there. It's just kind of, you know.
I would like to establish sobremesa somehow with my friends here in New York. First of all, it would have to be in a house because I think restaurants in New York would just kick you out. They would turn over that table so fast and just kick you out.
And anywhere, I don't think there's the culture of that. You're just like holding the table and maybe being rude here in the U.S. I don't know. I don't think it exists a ton. I've definitely closed place down here in the U.S., like with sobremesa, where they're like basically dimming the lights. I've been able to have some of it, some version of it at home with friends. But actually, there's so many times where I think that it's going to happen and it doesn't.
Wow, yeah.
You know?
And there's something about like some people just like there comes a point where they're like, they want to stand up from the table. And I'm like, no, we're still here.
I feel
we're keeping the vibe here.
I feel that though it's more so like that they're uncomfortable with it because this is like, I'm being rude. I'm overstaying my welcome. Like, you know, I actually had a friend who they came over and we had like a lengthy lunch and, you know, chatting and just very comfortable. And I think she got uncomfortable, like, oh my God, we'll leave soon. And I'm like, no, you don't have to.
Yeah.
No, this is good. This is fine.
Yeah.
Like,
we did not put the broom behind the door. You're
right.
good.
Like,
we want you here.
This is very normal. And then, you know, a few weeks later, she said like, oh, we had so much fun that one time. I'm so sorry if we overstayed a little. I'm like, no. And I told her like in Peruvian culture, and I explained it. And I said like, I find this lovely. And I hope like, if you genuinely believe that and don't think that this is just something I'm saying, you know, it's this recently happened. I would say a month ago. Like, yeah.
Well, I'm glad you explained it to her, and I hope she got the concept. And I hope next time, you know, she's like, are we doing sobre mesa, Luciana?
Right.
Let's go. I came prepared, you know? I hope that happens.
That wraps it up for today. Subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss next week's episode where we break down Paul Thomas Anderson's Oscar-nominated movie, One Battle After Another, which really has immigration at the heart of its script. And give us 5 stars on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Ciao, ciao.
Hasta la vista, babies. At Where We Land, we know that some immigrant experiences are harder than others, especially for those at the margins of our current legal system. So if you would like to help, we encourage you to support organizations that provide services for immigrants and champion their rights. You can find a list of organizations in the show notes.